the best, like no one ever was. Catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. I will travel.
Hi, my name is Nariel Gelly.
And I'm Taylor Allen.
And today we're going to be taking a look into our community and seeing people's perceptions on how humans are the only animals able to seek to understand themselves.
So stay tuned.
In these walls, I search to find who I am. What am I? What is me? I look, trying to find the truth behind my identity.
Why are humans the only animals that seek to understand themselves?
I don't think that humans are the only animals that seek to find themselves. We don't communicate with other animals, so how do we know that they aren't doing the same thing?
Why are humans the only animal who seek to understand themselves?
I believe that humans are the only animal that seek to understand themselves because as human beings, we're incredibly egocentric and everything relates back to us. So we want to understand why we do what we do.
Why is a human the only animal who seeks to understand themselves?
I would say because humans always want to please others, and in order to do that, they have to look inside to see what they can do to make others happy. They're also extremely judgmental of others, so then they also look at themselves to try and make themselves feel better when other people offend them in some sort of way. They look for ways to justify what they're doing compared to what someone else is doing to again, to kind of justify their behaviors. Unfortunately, a lot of humans are self-centered and everything is about them. They look to be the center of attention. We're a very competitive species, so what is it we can do that will put us in first place, make us stand out compared to others? And so in order to do all of those things, we're always worried about how do we look, how do we feel, how do other people think about us? And so I think it's us being more judgmental, living in a competitive society, and really kind of somewhat being self-centered.
Why are humans the only animals that seek to understand themselves?
Okay. Human beings are the only animals that seek to understand themselves because we are blessed with a metacognitive ability to take a step back and understand ourselves outside of our own immediate consciousness, which is something that no other animal possesses in such a way. Like, we can take a step back and I can say, oh, Andrew, Mr. Folsom is here. Like, he thinks this way. Why? Like, I can think outside of my own immediate thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And no other animal has that ability.
Why are humans the only animal who seek to understand themselves?
That is a very good question. And I have a couple different ways I could answer that. Number one, I believe I think it's a survival instinct. I think in order to survive in a very homeostatic kind of level, I think we need to understand ourselves a little bit better. Number two, I think it's an assumption, okay? And when I say it's an assumption, we're assuming that human beings are the only animals who seek to understand themselves. We're not in the mind of a cat or in the mind of a dog or in the mind of anything else. So for us as advanced species who have the ability to think cognitively, yes, we know we wake up every day and we try to understand ourselves and try to understand other people. But when you look at other animals and how they move, I think you can see a social dynamic, which infers or suggests that they're looking to understand themselves. We just don't understand the scope as human beings, how other animals are looking to do it. I know that was a very abstract and complex answer, but hopefully it expands the mind. Mind blown.
Why are humans the only animals that seek to understand themselves?
Because humans want to control everything. They like to control everything, so they have to be in control of themselves and others. They're the only ones who have to. Everybody else just go on nature, or every other animal goes on nature. Humans don't understand nature. They want to be in control.
Why are humans the only animals who seek to understand themselves?
I don't know that humans are the only animals that seek to understand themselves, but I think we do because we're capable of higher order thinking and our brains are developed in such a way that we're smarter than other animals. I think with every new development, we always try and search for the next thing. So we're trying to figure out what it is that makes us who we are and why we develop and, I don't know, function the way we do.
After watching and listening to what other people had to say, I tend to agree more on the fact of how do we actually know if we are the only animals who seek to understand ourselves. Okay? We don't think like animals, we don't communicate with them, so how do we actually know we're the only ones who seek to understand ourselves?
Amigos. To go furthermore on into this topic, I think that we all have different views, which kind of brings us to one conclusion, is that how do we know that humans are the only animals who are able to seek to understand themselves? I mean, there are many different ways. All of us individuals have a different way of perceiving the world and looking into it. And we also have a good way of, trying to find our truths within society. And from listening to the staff members that we have recorded, I think that it comes to the conclusion that humans want to find themselves, to connect with others like us. And they also want to connect to gain more truth about their identity and exactly where they come from. So I think that's what makes us who we are and why we get a better understanding of who we are as people.
Boom, boom. Hey. Don't bend.
Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet has an original point of view. And I say,
Why are animals... Mario. Hide it from the sun.
She needs some milk. What up, Miss Boyle?